I watched every major World War II movie from the 1960s, big hits, forgotten flops, and Oscar winners, and today I'm ranking the absolute best. You'll see which movie recreated D-Day with real soldiers, which one was banned in several countries, and which film inspired Tarantino. In Harm's Way was the last big black and white World War II epic. John Wayne leads as a naval officer who gets reprimanded after Pearl Harbor, only to come back as Rear Admiral and get one more shot at going up against the Japanese. It's a film loaded with mood. The nighttime ship scenes in the Pacific are honestly a must-watch. Martin Scorsese described it perfectly. The ships are out there in the Pacific at night, and the combination of image and music gave the scene a foreboding, a danger, a horror of the war. Until finally everything explodes in the last battle sequence. Glass starts to break on the bridge, and it's frightening the way it intrudes on your privacy. Supporting cast here brought their own real-life experience. George Kennedy, who plays Gregory, actually served under Patton in World War II, became a captain, and was awarded 2 Bronze Stars for bravery. Later, he'd play Patton himself in Brass Target. Henry Fonda, who has a cameo as the 2nd Commander-in-Chief Pacific Fleet, enlisted in the Navy after the Ox-Bow incident. The film wasn't a hit when it came out, never joined the list of classic John Wayne movies, but over time it found a cult following. People started to see Wayne's performance as one of his best. He's finally playing a real human being here, not just an action hero. The Train is a war movie that really feels like an experience, not just a story. Burt Lancaster stars, but the real magic is what John Frankenheimer pulled off after taking over from the original director, Arthur Penn. Lancaster, with his huge ego, fired Penn because he hated the slow, psychological direction. He wanted a hard-edged action thriller. So Frankenheimer came in, and the movie became all about scale, tension, and real danger. Everything you see in The Train is real. Those train wrecks are actual derailments, not miniatures. The crew blew up real rail yards with dynamite. The shockwaves on camera are the real thing. They even went back to film a Spitfire attack scene after the studio decided they needed more action. Actual Douglas A-26 invaders appear in the movie. There was no CGI and almost no safety protocols. People got hurt, and John Frankenheimer later admitted it was luck that nobody died. Visually, the movie is stunning, and the action sequences are still some of the best in any war film. The movie was made for $6.7 million, pulled in 3 in the US and 6 overseas. Not the hit Lancaster wanted, especially at home, but the kind of film that keeps getting rediscovered. The Train's reputation only grew over time. Based on James Clavell's own experiences as a prisoner of war in Changi Prison, King Rat goes deep on what it really took to survive and how ugly people could get just trying to make it out alive. It's one of those rare war films that actually tells the truth, and it paid the price in 1965. Some countries even tried to ban it for being too harsh on British officers and too honest about life in war camps. The set was a nightmare for actors. Extreme heat, forced weight loss, even dehydration just to look convincing as prisoners. The cast and director weren't faking it. Denholm Elliott, who played Lieutenant Colonel Larkin, actually spent years as a prisoner after being shot down in the war. Some of the others had lived it too. Director Brian Forbes called it a hard physical film that left him nearly breaking down at the end of the 62-day shoot. It ended up bombing at the box office, even though it landed an Oscar nomination for cinematography. Brian Forbes said the real audience, the one who would have appreciated its honesty, never even saw it. The Longest Day set the standard for all-star, all-out war epics. It's based on Cornelius Ryan's bestseller, which itself was a massive hit, sold tens of millions. The film takes on the D-Day landings at Normandy, packing in just about every famous face Hollywood could find. The movie strove for real accuracy. Producers brought in historians and consultants from both sides of the conflict. Frank McCarthy didn't just want a Hollywood version, so actual D-Day veterans were involved, both from Germany and the Allies. Even Rommel's wife, Lucy, consulted. The scale here is epic. 3 directors, 4 assistant directors, 5 screenwriters, 700 real soldiers as extras. The longest day clocks in at 3 hours, and it delivers on both detail and spectacle. The authenticity paid off. The movie made over $50 million at the box office at the time. That's about $525 million adjusted for today. Historical accuracy takes a back seat here, but entertainment never does. The Great Escape is the reason prisoner of war movies became a genre of their own. The story keeps moving, the ensemble cast is perfect, and McQueen's motorcycle jump still gets copied by directors today. Real prisoners were everywhere on set. Wally Floody, the real Tunnel King, worked as a consultant for over a year. Donald Pleasance, Hannes Messimer, Hans Reiser all actually did time in camps, and Pleasance said the set nailed the look and feel. The movie's fictional, heavily Hollywoodized, but packed with real details. The escape itself, digging tunnels, tricks, and betrayals, set the template for action-adventure movies for decades. Tarantino calls it a movie equivalent of Christmas. He said many times it's his favorite war movie and tried to channel its spirit into Inglourious Bastards. He even put a nod to The Great Escape and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you want to know where modern action blockbusters come from, start here. The Guns of Navarone takes a simple premise. Allied saboteurs must destroy Nazi superguns on a Greek island and turns it into a masterclass in tension, set pieces, and cast chemistry. Filming dragged on for months in Greece, tempers flared, and nobody thought they were making a classic. But somehow, it all came together. The plot moves like a clock, every piece clicking into place. The box office topped 1961 and it won the Oscar for special effects. The Guns of Navarone basically invented the team on a mission format. Every action movie since, James Bond, Indiana Jones, even Star Wars, owes something to this one. David Niven thought he was miscast as a corporal but later called it one of his best roles. The Counterfeit Traitor is one of Scorsese's favorites, and for good reason. Based on Alexander Klein's 1958 book, it's the true story of a Swedish oil executive, Erik Eriksson, blackmailed into becoming a double agent for the Allies in Nazi Germany. The real Eriksson made dozens of trips to Germany between 1941 and 1944, gathering information on oil refineries and smuggling it back to the Allies, always under surveillance, always under threat. William Holden plays Eriksson, not as a super spy, but as a regular man forced into a world that's equal parts fascinating and terrifying. Holden narrates much of the story, and you really feel every step of his risk. Every time I've watched this, it gets better. The atmosphere is spot on too. They filmed it on real post-war German locations, so there's that day-to-day feel of Nazi Germany's final years. The film builds tension without any cheap tricks. You're invested right up to the final escape. One of Holden's most underrated performances, and still a great watch today. Play Dirty is André de Toth's last official film, a nasty, underrated war thriller with Michael Caine out in the North African desert. Right from the first scene, Caine driving a corpse through the desert, you know this isn't going to be the Guns of Navarone. The movie's about British commandos disguised as Italians on a mission to blow up a German oil depot behind enemy lines. Nobody in the group has redeeming qualities, which is part of the appeal. There's a sequence where they shoot a group of Arabs simply because they get spotted. They don't even think about it. They just do what's necessary to get the job done. People try to lump this in with The Dirty Dozen, but Play Dirty stands on its own. De Toth's direction is lean and sharp, the story never goes where you expect, and the movie takes the men on a mission formula without any heroism or honor. It's actually one of Martin Scorsese's favorite films ever. He loves how Play Dirty isn't a sadistic film, but it's mean. This one's due for a rediscovery. By the late 60s, Men on a Mission was the thing, and Hollywood was turning out classics left and right. The Magnificent Seven, The Dirty Dozen, The Guns of Navarone. Right in the middle of it all is Where Eagles Dare, a movie Spielberg called his favorite war film of all time. This is the purest boy's own adventure story you can get. Richard Burton leads a team of British agents and brings Clint Eastwood along for the ride, infiltrating a Nazi mountain fortress to rescue a captured American general. but nothing is what it seems. The plot is a constant game of double and triple crosses. The action never lets up. Nobody expected it to be a hit, but it became one of MGM's top earners that year. It picked up cult status almost instantly, and even Tarantino credits Where Eagles Dare as the blueprint for Inglourious Basterds. This is the king of the subgenre. Robert Aldrich's The Dirty Dozen set the template for every bunch of losers on a dangerous mission film that followed, right up to Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds. The premise is simple. Take the worst of the worst and offer them a shot at redemption by pulling off an impossible mission behind enemy lines. The real-life inspiration here was the Filthy 13, a unit led by Jake McNeice. Aldrich's film is still about as iconic as you get for a men-on-a-mission war movie. Violent, totally over the top, but with enough detail to make it feel real, at least about 30% of the time. The Dirty Dozen didn't rewrite history, but it did give Hollywood a new way to tell these stories, and the ripple effects are still going.